Coming up this week on Kiss My Collectibles, find out our top 5 essential Kiss books. Stay up to date with the show and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Become a member of our brand new Patreon and receive exclusive updates and benefits.
This is Kiss My Collectibles podcast, but you knew that.
Hi, here we are again. Today I thought I'd do something special. I won't show you the 1980s show bags, but I will show you some other bags which have been referred to as show bags, but they're not quite the show bags. Show bags were, of course, part of the Royal Easter Show that ran in Sydney and Melbourne. It's like part agricultural show, part, rides and fun fair. And the very famous bag has masks and patches and everything that came within it. But these ones were actually, people call them show bags, but they're actually just ones that were for sale in Australia at the time by themselves, and they were also given away when you bought Kiss merchandise. So I'll show you some of these. These were from Australia. One side of them, of course, is like this, and it features the whole band. Now here is a little unretouched picture of Eric if you come in closer, and you can see it's his original makeup from that time. Now they spent a lot of time retouching that picture for the tour book, but they kind of left it for the bag here. Now the flip side of this version is, of course, zoom back out again so you can see more of it, is Gene Simmons, and you can see Gene Simmons' one actually has his signature there. Now that's a little odd because the other three didn't have any signatures. I'll show you them now. We've got Mr. Ace Frehley. There we go. We've got Mr. Paul Stanley. We've got Mr. Eric Carr, this time with his more final makeup. This is probably my favourite, I don't know why. But there was also a variant of these as well, which is quite interesting. I have another version of the bag. Mine's a little bit broken, and this one came with a handle, so you can see the difference of the bags here. One with the handle, and one with the handle like that. So there are multiple versions. The last bag I'd like to do for today is actually the Eldar Bag, which came in Australia as point of purchase. Came with some stickers, and you could also get a badge as well as the album. I quite like this, it's in gold and black. Anyway, that's about enough for today. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Kiss My Collectibles. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason Herndon, and with me, as always, is...
Seriously with you, as always, since the very beginning, since the first night that you decided you wanted to do something, I have been there with you, Andrew Scambatti. And we have a new person with us today. I don't know who this man is. You set this up. Can you let me know who he is?
I've been here like 3 minutes. My name is Joe, the new guy.
Hold on. Your last name, I think it's Lalick. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it.
Lalick. That's a good one.
Lalick.
Yeah, Lalick. That's it. Joe Lalich. How's it going, everybody? Good to be here.
All right. We're going to do a new Essentials episode this week. This week, we're going to do the top 5 essential Kiss books that should be in everyone's collection.
Yeah, and you guys know how this is going to work. We're going to list off our individual top 5. Then we're going to compile a top 5 list with some, offshoots, because something we might think is essential but might not be essential enough to be in the top 5. So we're going to go through our lists, and then at the end of the show, we're going to compile our list. And make sure you out there watching us send us your lists so we can continue the conversation even after the episode is over.
Amen. But before we jump right into the books, thank you. I'm very white today, and my voice is a little deeper because I've had no sleep because I just hung out with Ace Frehley last night.
Very cool.
After his solo show in Nashville, and I just want to say, short and sweet. I've seen Ace solo dozens of times. It was my favorite show ever. Now, I never got to see Ace with the Comet, and I'm a huge Frehley's Comet fan, and I love John Regan and Todd Howard, of course, Anton Fig. So I can't speak to that. I've never. It's just like when I was talking about the Kiss makeup shows this year being the best makeup shows that I have seen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not comparing it to any other shows. Just the tightness of the band. He actually sounded rehearsed this time. The set list was a little stale because it's its typical Ace set list, but I've never heard it played so professionally, so in time. Hearing bass parts that no one has ever played live, like in Hard Times, the little runs going into the courses. I've never heard anyone play that live, and it was just replicated beautifully. So I was very, very impressed. Ace sounded great, and I'm not a blue Kool-Aid drinker by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a huge Tommy Thayer fan, So, and I love the current Kiss, but Ace was fantastic last night. And I did get to do the meet and greet, and I want to say thank you very much to Ken Gullick and PJ for helping me out with that.
Our friends
always
at E1
very cool to
Entertainment.
us.
Yes.
For sure.
And I got just a couple things signed. I didn't want to overstay my welcome, so I did get the orange spaceman.
That looks really cool signed.
Yeah,
it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it looks great signed. I was very, very happy with that. I got in the VIP. I got this little 8x10 that I also got signed.
That's cool. That you got to frame that. You got to frame.
It's a good piece. And then and lastly, I got something completed that I had 3 on, and I wish you would have signed it in silver, but I didn't. I forgot to tell him, but I got a copy of the originals complete, all 4 on there now.
I mean, it looks like
3
it's a
in
nice
black.
copy too.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent copy. It's but probably one of the first copies of the originals I had.
It'll display really nice for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was very happy with that. I also want to say really quick that I spent the evening, the whole show before and after, with my good friends Pat Lucero and his wife Carol.
Dude, love Pat and Carol. Really do.
I just had a really wonderful time, and they bought me dinner afterwards, and I want to say thank you because I love those guys dearly.
Even though it was off the dollar menu, still thank you to them.
No, we went to Waffle House and stayed for hours. I'm on 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep.
Listen,
guys.
that's the best part about going to a show like that is like talking to other people after it and just hanging out with people before and after. Like that's why we do this. That's why you will see us. I don't know when this is going to air, but that's why you will see us if this airs before then at the Indianapolis Kiss Expo, May 11th and May 12th. So
if not, it was great to see you.
It was great to see you.
Expo. So,
and by the way, getting back to Pat real quick, when we do the Kiss My Collectibles top 5 essential favorite people of the podcast, Pat will be on that list for sure. Now I haven't had a ton of back and forth with Pat. We've met once, but I've talked to him over Facebook and stuff. And Jason and Andrew, the stories that you guys have told about the guy, he just seems like an amazing person.
He's a great guy.
He's the sweetest guy I've ever met. So
he's probably one of the coolest original Kiss fans that I meet. And what I mean by that is there are fans that have been there since the beginning, and he's one of those fans that has been there, and it's never. You could tell that it never Kiss. The thrill of Kiss never died with him.
Never, absolutely never.
He's still as excited as he was back then as he is now. So
I will tell you that Pat's first Kiss show was Anaheim in '76.
Yeah. And we did a Kiss My Boots episode on that, so go back and check that out.
Yeah.
So hey, anyway. let's talk about some Kiss books. Let's talk about some Kiss books. There are tons of Kiss books. There are official Kiss books. There are non-official Kiss books. There are books that came out for a little while. There are photo books. There are so many books that came out here. So compiling a list of the top 5 essentials was difficult because how do you pick the top 5 essential? Is it the most historically accurate? Is it the rarest? Is it the most expensive? I mean, if it was the most expensive, it would just be the monster book. But we all looked through our collections and we picked not only our favorites, but we picked the ones that we thought that you guys out there should have. So I want to kick this off with my number 5 book. And
number 5.
And this might have been my very first Kiss book. The Kiss reunion was on full swing, and Kiss was everywhere. So people were eating up Kiss goods. Every place you can go, you could walk into. It wasn't Barnes & Noble, but there was another bookstore that I used to go to It's obviously closed now.
Borders?
It wasn't
No,
Borders,
not
but it was a small like mall type
Books
store.
A Million?
Got it.
No, it was like a small. It was like a franchise. It might have been New Jersey only. But anyway, Kiss and Sell. This is by the great C.K. Lent, who was, I guess, Kiss's accountant at the time, and it kind of goes through his journey with the band. And what I really love about this book is, I know it's beat. I've read it a bunch of times. Probably will read it again tonight. What I love about this book is it goes from Destroyer, and it really shows the progression from this street band to a conglomerate back to a band that I wouldn't say Kiss was struggling throughout the 80s, but they weren't thriving as they once were.
According to this book, I would say they're struggling.
If you believe the book from a financial standpoint,
right.
It seemed like they were up against the wall. Now, publicly facing, I mean, they might have been doing okay, but there was certainly that ebb and flow of popularity, and in the behind the scenes stuff, it gets pretty dicey there.
What was very interesting to me is that, especially on the Creatures of the Night tour, they had said that the merchandiser who was printing a lot of the T-shirts gave Kiss an advance, so meaning that they said, hey, we're going to sell these T-shirts at the show. We want you to pay us X amount of dollars for the stock that we're going to sell, and that money was used to keep the band on the road.
They were doing lots of stuff like that. I think it's probably been 20 or 25 years since I read it. 20 years since.
It's been a long time for me.
It's been a long time since I read it. But if I recall, somewhere up in the Asylum era, they were taking loans out from banks in Kentucky or something like that, just to keep the tour on the road or something like that. I don't know. It was.
Oh my God! I didn't even realize that. Bill Coyne signed mine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
On what page?
It is page 119. There's a picture of Bill Coyne wearing Eric Carr's Unmasked Jacket and C.K. Lent wearing Paul's Unmasked Jacket.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Okay. All right, so this is my number 5 essential Kiss book.
Okay.
I've got that as well. I think it's great. I think, is it arguably the most honest Kiss book? It's interesting. Right? I mean, it really, if you believe, even if you believe half of what's in there, because it's one man's, accounting of what happened at the time.
Yes.
Even if you believe half of it, some of it's pretty surprising from the standpoint of the money and the band's popularity.
Joe, you being a design guy, and Jason, you being kind of a smart guy, what's the biggest missed opportunity of this book? There's no hardcover. It's no hard. It's always
that's right.
It's always been a paper. It's always been a paperback book. I thought that it would have been cool to have a hardcover book.
I don't. Andrew, I don't think that's true. I think there is a limited edition hardcover of that I have seen somewhere. I saw one. I feel like I saw one and bid on one on eBay a couple of years ago.
Well,
After the show, I will look on eBay because
let's discuss.
I'm not allowed to look at eBay on the show anymore because a couple of fans have called me out. So,
well, anyway, just for discussion, if anybody has the hardcover version,
show it.
I'm not saying Andrew's completely. It's funny. I said Alan. I went over and looked at his book. Kind of gave away some of my top 5, but. I'm not saying Andrew's wrong, but I really think I've seen a very, very limited run of Kiss and Sell in hardback. So let's see if somebody has one.
All right. Do you want me to continue?
My copies were out too, man.
Mine's more out. You want me to continue number 4, and then we'll move on to Mr. Lalish?
Yeah.
All right. So number 4.
Andrew, you still don't know what my last name is. Go ahead. What's my last name? How do you say it? Go ahead.
Lalich.
Wow. Very good. Very good.
Lalich.
You got it.
Yeah. I've known it the whole time.
Boy, you were just going to trip over it there for a second, and you backed up.
All right, so
kind of funny. We all three have not the easiest last names to produce.
No, we don't.
Or to say. So.
I want to make a T-shirt of us where it's us and it looks like the Love Boat, and I want all our mispronunciation of our names put in Hemden, Lick, and then Spaghetti.
Spaghetti, perfect. All right,
those band shirts. That's Ringo, George.
Yeah.
Right? It'll be Lalick, Hemdon, and Spaghetti. Yeah.
All right. Number 4 on my top 5 essential Kiss books. Nothing to Lose. This book is so cool because it really goes in depth and talks about a lot of events in history that. Not that I didn't know about, but events that just haven't been written about a whole lot. The great Ken Sharp wrote this, along with Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. And if I'm not mistaken, mine is signed.
Mine is as well.
Yeah, I got it. I didn't attend a signing, but a really cool friend of mine got this for me. I had an ebook version of this, which is what I read initially, and then he sent me the actual physical copy. But this book is great. You know, it goes through a lot of things. The photos in here are great, a lot of unseen photos, and it's a very, very cool book, and it's pretty easy to get. So I highly recommend picking up Nothing to Lose. And
what's really cool about this, Andrew, if I could just interrupt for 1 second, is it's all the snippets from all the people who were involved at the time. Yes. So you have the club owner of the Coventry, and there's just a ton of different people who make comments throughout the book. So it's not really a narrative style. Mm-hmm. It's more of a hit and run kind of a quote book. So the people who were involved at that moment in time make a comment about what they remember. Gene and Paul interject. So it's almost like if you had an interview of everybody who was involved at KISS at different periods of the band between 72 and 75. That's the result of what you get in this book. So
yeah, I completely agree. It's a great book. So definitely pick that up. Number 4, which number 3. I can't even count. Number 3. This is a Japanese KISS photo book. I don't know the exact name of it. I know it came out around 2012, 2013, but some of the pictures in here are just incredible. These are Japanese-only books. It's called the Photo Library Series KISS.
Yep, I've got it as well.
I'm surprised that it's on. I'm surprised that someone else has this because it wasn't. I think I had to go to like Yaman Hassan to get it.
Yeah, as I remember, this was not easy to get.
No.
Even at the time. I think it came out in 2007.
Did it come out 2007?
I think. Well, that's the copyright in here, so it's at least one of the printings. But I think it's 2007. So yeah, it's a great book. It's just jam packed. It's got the obi on the cover, which is great. That's not printed. That's an actual obi. So it's a great book, man. The photos in there are just fantastic.
Agreed. Number 2, and this was a difficult one to do. Number 2, Seal with a Kiss by Lydia Chris, who will be on the show at some point. We've had some scheduling conflicts on both sides. But this is a great book. This came out in 2006. Lydia self-published this herself. So she put up all the money. She did the design work. And what's very cool about this, these are her photos that she took it back in the day. And it's also her memories and her recollection of KISS's rise. And it's say what you want about her. She gives a very honest and open story in this book. So if you haven't gotten this, make sure you pick it up from her. This is the second printing. My first printing has seen better days because I've read it so much. But this is the second printing, which is still available on her website, lydiachris.com, and you can pick it up. It's an awesome book, and the photos in here, they are really unique to this book. I haven't seen them anywhere else, and can't say enough good things about this book.
It's almost like a personal diary or a scrapbook of one person, of one family or one couple's journey from obscurity to complete and utter stardom, where she's on the stage at, what is it, the People's Choice Award, I think, and she's accepting the award for the band, and she goes through where she got her hair done, it's just it's an amazing recounting of these little minute moments in one quarter of the group's history, for sure. It's crazy.
And she's a sweet lady. We can't forget that she's a really sweet lady. So before I go over my number 1 book, I want to give a runner-up, and I wasn't going to include this, but this is the book that came out of the vault. Ken Sharp also put this together as he put together the Nothing to Lose book. So Mr. Leakage also has his. But this book is great. You know, if you haven't seen this, it goes through, you know, all of these things, and what's funny, and I'll tell this story now because you know, the Vault project hasn't sailed away, but it's definitely morphed into something else. But about a year ago, I think almost a year to the day, I was getting ready to attend the Toronto Vault. And at the time, I hadn't, you know, really read the book yet. So I'm at dinner with my friend David Paya, who's been on the show, and I'm looking through the book, and I open the book, and the first page is a picture of Gene and John 5. So of course I texted John 5. I go, "Hey, do you know that you're in the Vault book?" And he goes, "Hey, I had no idea." You know, Keith Valcor comes over and he looks at John 5, and I go, "Hey, can we get John 5 at a Vault?" So I did set up to have John 5 as a guest at one of the Vaults that ultimately ended up being canceled. So I thought that was very, very cool that I was able to have a small part in doing something like that. And John
a small
had no
part
idea.
in something that didn't happen.
Well, it was going to happen at some point. So, but anyway, this book you can only get inside the Gene Simmons Vault, which you can get genesimmonsvault.com. Save your negative comments. I love the Vault. Jason loves the Vault, and Joe loves the Vault too. So, money well spent, my opinion.
The book is interesting. It's kind of a mashup. It's Gene talking about the songs, where they, to the best of his recollection, where they came from, sort of their history. And then he almost has that sealed with a kiss kind of a thing happening from a photo perspective, where it's a photo sort of diary, I guess, of where he was at that moment in time. Yeah. So it's a real deep dive into his backstory, which is great.
Yeah. I'm going to catch a lot of flack, Roberta. I'm going to catch a lot of flack.
Yes, you are.
That's something new for you, right, Andrew?
I'm going to catch a lot of flack for my number one book. History. And
half of it.
I have two. It's so heavy. I have two.
9 pounds.
Yeah, that's what Gene would say, right? It's a 9-pound book.
What's great about History is I always, the moment that I saw the advertisement for it, I wanted it, and I had to have it. And I remember Christmas 1998. It was the only thing on my Christmas list that I wanted, and my mother at the time was like, even if I did get it for you, I don't know if it's going to be here in time, and blah blah blah. So I was like, oh man, I was kind of disappointed. Anyway, Christmas Day comes, everything is great, and I got other Spencer Kiss stuff. I got a couple CDs, so I was really really happy, really, really excited. I was always happy. Anything that my mother got me, I was always very happy with. She always knew what to get. But all the way in the back, there was it looks like a J.C. Penney box almost. Like, remember those old J.C. Penney boxes that had like pants and whatever in them. So, and I thought like some distant relative got me like, I don't know, like a new pair of jeans or something, and all the way in the back. So I go to grab it, and I was like, man, this is heavy, and I knew immediately what it was. So at that moment, nothing else mattered. All I wanted to do was read this history book, and I still have my original book. So my original book, because it was purchased in '98, it was signed by Peter Nace as well as Gene and Paul. And then at one of these local record stores here for $100, I found a Bruce and Eric copy. I think it's this one.
So I think that was the second run, right, Jason?
The Peter Nace is the second.
Peter Nace is the second run.
Correct.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So
right.
Go ahead, Jason.
I purchased mine in 90. Shoot.
Was it 3?
90. I think it was.
No, it was 94, and I only know that it was 94 because advertisements of it appeared in Kiss My Ass.
So I think I purchased it in 94. Did I receive it in 94? Maybe I received it. Are we sure we didn't purchase it in 93 and receive it in 94?
You might have purchased it in 93, but it was actually it actually came out in 94.
Yeah, because I remember there was a huge delay in getting the book.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure that I purchased it in 93 or purchased it in early 94, and I got it, later. And but yeah, my first copy fell completely apart.
So that's the controversial thing. One of the controversial things about this book, right? If you read it more than 3 times, the binding tore apart and the book just disintegrated.
Right.
Now, luckily, mine are both in great shape. I haven't read it or looked through it a whole bunch, but man, you hear nothing but complaints. And the ones that are on eBay that are still tightly bound are ones that you guys should look for actively, because this thing just falls apart.
Yeah.
And if anybody has one that is falling apart or is going to fall apart, get at me in the comments. Get at me there. I will not sell this, but I do want to make a copy for PDF consumption, so that way people that own the book can actually enjoy it without tearing apart their book.
Lugging the damn thing around.
Yeah, it's huge, and it's like we said, it falls apart. It's just it's a tough.
What number is your book?
Okay, so mine is. This is my second copy because my first copy fell apart and they replaced it. And I don't remember what I did with my first copy. I might have sold it when I sold my original collection, but this one is 16,011.
This one is 666.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Take a look. Take a look. There's no way I'm going to be able to show it to you.
Yeah, you will.
I don't want to.
You don't want to open it?
6,666.
Oh, that's all. It's pretty crazy, man.
Mine is 16,583.
Right.
So, and that's the Eric and Bruce signed one that originally came out. So this was the one that my original one, the first one that I ordered. Then later on down the road, I bought an Ace and Peter signed one because they went back and reproduced it during the reunion era. Either reproduced it or they had some I don't know. Who knows how that goes.
I know they did a bunch of them. I never bought the Ace and Peter version. At 16,000, mine is still a Bruce and Eric version. I believe, if I recall, that my original one was somewhere in the 3,000 or 4,000 range.
Okay. I gotta tell you, my Ace and Peter one, my original one from 1998, still together. The binding's a little bit loose, but it is not numbered.
I was gonna say, I bet it's not. So what I think they did there was just created new fly sheets, and they might have had extra books, extra guts laying around, or they just reprinted the guts, because that would be expensive to go back and reprint that. But it would be cool to know how many of those second runs there were.
So Andrew, you didn't use your history book to try to collect other autographs? Because that was something that I did. I lugged this thing around and tried to collect as many autographs as I could.
Yeah, I never did that. I mean, I lugged it around. I read it, cover to cover. I don't even know how many times, but I never lugged it around to get other autographs. I always had people sign other things.
Well,
looking back, I should have, because every KISS member had something to do with that book. Tommy Thayer worked on it. Eric Singer was in the band at the time. I should have gotten everyone to sign it.
That's exactly why I did, because you could get all sorts of people to sign it. Because I had Bill Aucoin sign mine.
Sure.
I've had Anton Fig sign mine. I've had Bill Starkey sign mine. Tommy Thayer, Vinnie Vincent, Ace Frehley.
I should have.
Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Eric Singer, Bruce Kulick.
Did you get Vinny to sign that when we were in Atlanta,
Jason? No. Vinny signed mine in 96 in Atlanta.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
wow,
96
great.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But I did get Ace to sign it in Indy, I believe.
Cool.
And that's the same place I had Anton Fig sign it.
Oh, cool.
Very cool. Yeah, you see that, and you see a lot of those CD guitar cases. That seems to be the two pieces that people get, like, sort of history signatures.
It's comprehensive. It's comprehensive. So,
all right. So, Joe, your top 5 essential KISS books.
So I wouldn't necessarily. I just have a group of them, and we were talking about the show about some of these different books. So I have many of the ones that you talked about, Andrew. I have Nothing to Lose. I had the KISS Japanese photo series book. I had the KISS book that we've shown, the Vault. These were all things that were in my big stack of books that I brought to sort of just talk about. I think I brought 8 or 9 altogether. But let me show a couple of others that I think should be at least in the running, and then we'll cull it down from there. Another book, The KISS Years, Barry Levine, very famous KISS photographer, has just a ton of great photos throughout. There's a little bit of narrative talking about where they were at the time, or whatever the backstory was of some of these photographs. But as we all know, Barry shot some of the most famous, if not the most famous, photos of all time.
Do you have?
They're just iconic.
Do you have the poster that Barry Levine put out of that?
I do not. No,
it's one of my favorites.
You're talking about like the numbered?
Yeah, the chromium poster.
Yeah. I don't have that.
You have that?
Yeah, I don't have it. No,
it's hanging up. It's hanging up in my office at work.
Yeah,
I mean, just the iconic shots that this guy shot. We all know them.
Right there. That's right there.
The Empire State Building, top of the Empire State Building shot. He did, the Cubes series, which obviously is iconic, and we see it everywhere on every piece of KISS merchandise. From Ego dolls, everything in the 70s had that stuff on it. Go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say, I have the 3-foot 5 by 5 foot poster of the Cubes right beside us, man.
So it's great. So you see, the Ace Cubes, and then you see the puzzles. I mean, just all the merchandise that Barry Levine photos were used. It's just amazing. Next one, another photo book. So I'm a big fan of these photo books. That's just it just shows you the kind of the inner workings of the band and just stuff that you've never seen before. So this is the next one, KISS, The Early Years, a Waring Abbott photo book that again, it's very very similar to the Barry Levine book.
If I could tell a quick story about that book, I attended the Gina Paul did a signing when that book came out at the Virgin Megastore in New York City, and I attended. So my book is signed by both Gina Paul.
Were they in makeup?
No makeup.
They did the CD box.
They did the box set in makeup, right?
They did the box set in makeup only in Los Angeles, though. When they did the box set in New York, it was no makeup because I was there.
Gotcha. Cool.
Anyway, so that book is awesome, and I remember when I got that, I was so excited. So on the next show, just remind me. I'll show you like my laminate from the event and my my photo from the event too.
Just beautiful,
killer
beautiful
shot.
Photos. Yeah, just amazing behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, just great.
Yeah.
So that's the next one. Here's one.
Here's one.
Here's one. So. Kiss the Real Story. I just think this is an iconic book.
Is.
You know, it's one of the few that came out back in those days. You know what I mean? I mean, it probably was, I'm guessing 79 or
79
80.
79. Or maybe it was 80.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a date on it.
I think it was 1980. I think it was 1980. Yep. Does anybody know the story behind that book? The real story behind that book?
No,
well, it was originally going to be called The Kiss Diary, right? It was.
You're right. You're right.
And it was sold through the Dynasty merchandise, and then we'll go ahead, right? There's some changes that happened or something, and that replaced it.
Well, so Ken Sharp actually wrote the original narrative that ended up becoming Behind the Makeup book.
Oh yeah.
So that was originally what that was supposed to be, and that memoir
this basically
one?
Behind the Mask.
Behind the Mask. I'm sorry, Behind the Mask.
Mask.
So that was supposed to be what the real story was, but I guess they thought it was too in depth and it painted them in a too adult light. So they need something, fluff like a kid's piece.
Yeah,
so
and that's essentially what it is. It's like quick dates and just quick little snippets of what was happening. I haven't read this in years and years and years, and I bet none of this stuff is accurate. But
most of it is not. Most of it is inaccurate. Yeah. But anyway, so the manuscript for Behind the Mask basically sat for years and years and years, and then it was finally published later on. I think 2003 is when it was published. Which that one is awesome too. That one's awesome
also
too.
A great book.
Great book. I got it back there.
So as a kid, it's one of those things that I'm sure I got it at a bookstore back in the day. This is my original copy, and you just didn't see this stuff back then. There were just so few books that came out back then. Speaking of one of the books that came out back then that you would always go to the bookstore and look for was this guy.
Robert Duncan.
That looks like
it's just called Kiss by author Robert Duncan.
So cool.
It's funny. You look at the back
power.
of it. Punk power. What is that? What does that even mean? But it's interesting. It says the hips of Elvis and the Beatles' hair used to be thought shocking. Then there was the vicious beat of the Rolling Stones, the sexual put-ons and turn-ons of David Bowie, the calculated craziness of Alice Cooper. But the rock world hadn't seen anything until Kiss exploded on the scene. So it's a narrative book, just sort of goes through and tells some of the history of the band, and then there are black and white photos in this.
Oh, look at that! Mine is in my display case upstairs.
There you go.
I never read that book. I probably should.
Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah, it's good. And then here's this one. This is a tough one to find. This is the Japanese version of the same book. It's cool and different because it has an outer sleeve.
Oh, cool.
Around it. Lots of great. Actually, this one, interestingly enough, it has photos in it. They're in a different spot. There's actually color photos in this one. I don't think there are.
There's not in the U.S. version.
Okay.
I gotta find that now. So now I gotta go on eBay like I'm always doing.
The regular version or the Japanese version? Good luck.
Japanese version. I'm just gonna see what I can find.
Will be hundreds of dollars if I'm guessing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And so
that 70s smell.
Yeah, it does. It has that old comic book paper.
I love it.
Look at this. Look what I found. Look at this cover.
That's weird.
I've seen that. I don't know if that's a reprint or what that is. I don't know. If any of the commenters have an idea what that is. So while Andrew once again is on his phone and being disrespectful to the fans out there, here's the next book. It's Lynn Goldsmith's book that came out. What is it? 2 years ago now?
About 2 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just, and I think for me, this sets the standard in quality as far as books go.
Right
there
on.
really hasn't been, even though they claimed it was, I don't feel like History was a quote unquote coffee table book that was art worthy and worthy of that sort of title, something that you would want to have out at your house for people to flip through. But this book to me is just, it's stunningly put together, designed.
So good.
I know there were some complaints about it, that there wasn't enough Peter, not enough Ace.
Right.
Who cares?
But guys, if you haven't, guys and ladies out there, that if you haven't seen this book, lady, if you haven't seen this book or looked through it, it's truly amazing. Also has kind of a pseudo Obi on it as well.
It does.
Which is cool. So,
I gotta mention him because he's mentioned on every show. But our friend Danny Dabbs actually went to the signing that Lynn Goldsmith did. Was it down in Nashville?
There were a bunch of them, I believe.
Right.
I was out at one in Los Angeles.
I can't remember if he went to if it was Nashville or not. I don't remember.
Well,
Andrew.
he went, and yours is signed by Paul as well.
Yep.
So mine is only signed by Lynn, and Danny got it personalized for me. So a huge thank you to Danny Dabbs for doing that for me. Really appreciate you.
He's a good egg.
He's a great guy.
Okay, so probably the most controversial book on the list, right?
Yes.
Here's this one. So it's Vintage Kiss Photos, 1974 to 1981. Tough to find now for a bunch of reasons. It's very expensive now. It's a beautiful book, beautifully compiled, all kinds of photos. Jason, you want to talk a little bit about the history about this? Do we know what happened with it? Do we want to get into it, or do we want to just say it's a badass book, and if you can find it, you should get it?
I would say let's steer clear of it.
Leave it at that. Yeah.
But Mark, the gentleman that put it together, is a great guy and a friend of mine that I chat with semi-frequently.
Naked.
And he did an amazing job and was not treated very well. So. But it's a great, work of art. It's a great book.
It's an amazing effort for sure. It's got amazing photos in it. So nicely done on that front. So those are the books that I grabbed from my bookshelf and that I considered sort of the group of things that we should talk about being in the top 5. Now, I don't necessarily have an order, but I think Goldsmith's book should be in there. I feel like Nothing to Lose should probably be in there. So I guess let's get down to Jason, whatever you have. And
Mr. Hemdon. Mr.
Hemdon. Well, since you two guys went, I don't have a lot to add. I do have a couple that weren't in the groupings that you guys had. So I'll just go ahead. This is kind of a book that you find in an essential Aucoin collection. Usually in a display case somewhere, but there's the Robert Duncan book that Joe showed, and then there's the John Swenson book, or Swenson, how you say his last name, Headliners, and this is also another kind of history kind of book, and it's got a lot of.
What does it say on the front?
It's this is the greatest rock show on earth. close, right? So, but it's got a lot of black and white photos and everything. It has that. Lovely vintage.
What's the logo look like on there? Is it almost backwards Z's on there?
That's a good for pointing that out.
So there's only one on eBay right now, and it's kind of beat, and if it was in better condition, I would have grabbed it. But
they're not difficult to find. These were all over the place, and usually when people are trying to put together a nice 70s collection for display, you can usually find the U.S. versions of these two books pretty easily, and not very expensive. So just two cool pieces to have sitting in your display case beside each other.
It's interesting to note that many books from the 70s are basically that size, and I'm not talking about just Kiss, but I remember going to in my library when I was in grammar school and in a middle school, and their books had been left over from the 70s and 80s, and a lot of them were that size.
I remember when probably Joe as well, when we were in school, we used to get these little flyers where you could order little books
from
stuff.
Scholastic.
From Scholastic.
You're right, that kind of stuff, and they were always little books like this. But yeah, it's interesting. The the Robert Duncan book was $1.75, and the Headliners book was $1.95. It's got the prices printed on them. Anyway, I think 2 essential books that should be in your collection, especially if you're doing a coin collection. Because
it's funny when you're looking at those prices, Jason. Those if you adjust that for inflation now, that's a pretty aggressive price for those books.
You think?
I don't you think? I mean, I
agree.
It just shows you that printing costs, they just are what they are, and they're kind of unavoidable.
Google what is $1.95, from 1977 to today.
Tell us in the comments.
So, since I kind of Andrew had his top 5 already built, and Joe kind of gave us a smattering of books. I loosely have my top 5 built because I didn't have a lot of time to put it together, but this probably won't end up in the top 5. But I have got to show some love to this book, and I'm throwing it in there for voting purposes, and we'll see.
No,
but yes, I've got to talk about Alan Belisha's Japanese book,
Kiss in Japan. How many copies of that do you have?
I have 3 copies because there are 3 different versions.
I've got two.
He did a first printing, a second printing, and a third printing, all with corresponding obies, just like the vinyl came out in. So you had the red obi from the Victor stuff, and then the yellow obi, and then the Crazy Collection obi that goes after that. So all
is
of
that
these.
A printed obi, or is that a?
It's a printed obi. It's a printed obi. So this book is just.
It's awesome.
I could not include it in my top 5 because every time we had Alan on the show, which has been like 3 or 4 times, I've said I think this is one of the top 5 best books ever produced. So I mean, it is just full.
Which version do you have? Which version do you have? Because there were some inserts in some of the other versions of the books. Do you have those to show?
I don't. I have them, but I don't have them to show. I just grabbed the one, and I didn't, think to show all 3 of the copies. But 75 to 2015, Kiss in Japan. What's great about it is he goes through all of the history of the vinyl and what is, what a first edition obi looks like, and what would have came on the record, and what a second edition obi looks like, and
what the Japanese means on the obi, so
that's
what's
great.
Supposed to be in the vinyl, all that stuff. It's a great resource.
It is. It really is.
This will have to be a secondary market purchase for you because it is out of print, but one of the best fan efforts I've ever seen, in a book.
And Alan is also in the top 5 friends of Kiss My Collectibles.
Yeah,
and that's right.
I got to meet Alan in Jacksonville, Florida on my birthday, and couldn't have been sweet. I know Alan's girlfriend too. She's also very sweet. Both of them are 2 of my absolute favorite people. I really, really enjoyed hanging out with them. So hello to both of you guys out there, and thank you guys. I love you. I'll see you on New Year's Eve.
Okay. And the other author that I want to mention, whom I cannot believe no one else has mentioned, has put out more Kiss books than anybody on the planet, and maybe all of them combined.
Ever in history. Yeah.
Ever in history is Mr. Julian Gill. And if I'm going to...
An amazing book.
Include...
Mine's right there.
A tour history. Look, folks, look. This is
Crazy.
This is an encyclopedia Britannica of the Kiss touring history, 73 to 2017, and this happens to be the Atlanta Expo edition.
That's the one I have too.
And
That's
he's done several different editions, and
he was going to be on my list today, and the only reason why he wasn't is because my favorite book of his, the solo album book, I only have as an ebook version. So I said, hey, when you're in Indy, if you could bring me one, I really need one.
Glad you mentioned that, Andrew, because here is his solo album book, and you will never find a more comprehensive detail of what was going on during those solo albums, And he works a lot with Tim McFate, who does tons of interviews, for him and stuff that gets reprinted, and usually it's just like a It's not his books aren't like a storytelling kind of thing. He has interviews with all the people that were involved.
But it goes through the chronology of it, and
it does go
awesome.
through right. And I guess he decided he would scribble on mine for some reason, but apparently this is hardcover copy number 7. So, and then for good measure, I also want to show my other favorite book by him.
I have that
Odyssey.
Book. Yep.
So
I showed that on a previous show.
As far as Joe had a lot of books that are pictorial, pictorial history or a snapshot in time or something like that, and I love those kind of books. I really do. But these kinds of books where it's just detailed information about a specific subject. He's got a Crazy Nights book that's done the same. He's got an album focused books that are incredible.
Julian is prolific. It's amazing. It is amazing the amount of information he churns out in such a high quality.
Yeah.
I have a couple of those books. I have a couple of them I don't, but no doubt they're fantastic Kiss books.
And a fantastic guy.
Right, and also maybe a top 5 guy in my list. But
we've already almost built the list for the
right.
top
I know.
5.
So, yeah. But Julian gets tons of credit. But we don't need to leave out Tim McFate, who does tons of these interviews and stuff. And he's I don't think they work on every book together. I could be wrong, but he's specifically mentioned on the Odyssey book. I know he did a ton of interviews for this, and they just try to track down everybody. So anyway, I think that at least one of Julian's books needs to be considered for a top 5, but we'll see how it plays out.
Are we ready to do the top 5?
The top 5.
The top 5
yep.
essentials. Okay.
Let's talk about one more book before we do that.
Okay, absolutely.
A book that hasn't emerged yet, but
I was thinking about saying that.
This will be here. What is it? The hottest band in the land.
Hottest brand in the land. Hottest brand in the land by our good friend, my colleague, all of our colleagues, Nicholas Buckland. So this book is we've seen it. It looks amazing. Everybody,
it is amazing. It is amazing.
I think it's going to challenge Lynn Goldsmith's book for the quintessential coffee table book. If you're a Kiss collector, if you're a fan of sort of that time period, I think the book is going to be amazing. So
yeah, it covers the Aucoin era of merchandise, and just about every piece of merchandise that was released officially during that time period is photographed and detailed.
It tells a story on how on the merchandise and how it built and built and built and built.
It's the perfect book for this podcast and the groups that we run. Of course, Nicholas with everythingkiss.com, but he's a huge part of Kiss My Collectibles as far as being an admin, a founding admin of the Kiss My Collectibles group with over 10,000 members. And, he appears on our shows every now and then as a collector. And that's probably, the second most important part of Kiss to me outside of the music. There's no way that it doesn't jump right up into my top 5 once it hits.
It's an astonishing achievement just for the size, the volume of information, and you guys are gonna love it when it comes out. It's a fantastic book, and the release and the ability to talk about it and all that stuff is coming very, very soon. It's been a labor of love. He's been working on it for years. And it's coming, and it's going to be fantastic. So watch out for that soon.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure we'll have him on the show. We'll talk all about it. So we're all very excited as a group for that. So.
We'll have the top 5 essential books remastered right after it comes out. It'll be this episode. Nicholas will be on, and then we'll have to do.
That's right. That's right. So there you go for that. So watch out for that. We're excited for Nicholas.
Yeah.
All right, so let's build our top 5. Let's build the top 5. I think number 5 has to be. I think
they will come.
If you build it, they will come. I think number 5 has to be Kiss and Sell. Any arguments on that? I think the only reason why it's not higher, I think it's not higher on the list just because it's not. How do I want to word this?
Let me just step in and say is it an essential book? Again, I think we have to go back and think about, are we looking at this from a collector's perspective? Is it essential? It's a great book. I've read it. It's riveting from the standpoint of what was going, because you never get that down and dirty, nitty gritty, ugly.
But that's what I'm talking about. It goes in depth into this certain part of the band. So that's why I think you need to. It's the yin and yang of the Kiss, because Kiss paints themselves in a certain light, just as everyone else does. But I think you need that.
Sure. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we talk about the ones that we think are going to cross all three of our lists to begin with?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Because then we can squabble over the last one. History, right? Has to be in there.
History, absolutely.
What else? Do we think Nothing to Lose?
History?
Is that one that the three of us would put on there?
I would
absolutely
put
Nothing to Lose.
Yep.
Okay, so that's two that are in the top five. What
I think
else?
Sealed with a Kiss.
And I'm going to be on Andrew's team here. I'm a Sealed with a Kiss.
Okay, I won't. Now, okay, the only thing I'll say about Sealed with a Kiss, it's a great book. I love it. Is it a Kiss? It's Kiss related. It's, again, if we go back to our original discussion that we had with the magazines, we talked about all Kiss content. That book, half of it arguably, is not Kiss related. It's Peter Criss related and Lydia Kiss related, and it's a fantastic book. I would never put it down or say that it's a bad book at all. But does it belong on the essential list?
I think it does. I do.
So, Andrew, you'd be wrong. Jason, go ahead.
No.
Andrew, you'd be wrong. Jason, go ahead. I certainly see Joe's point here.
But just the detail that it goes into on those formative years.
It's the number one Peter Criss book of all time.
That's true. There's two. So
right.
Actually, there's three. I have that Mark Montague book that is very Peter Criss. You know, it's all about Kiss Cat one. But anyway, so there's three. But it's tough. It's tough. Okay, that's fair, Andrew. That's fair.
Not to say that Kiss isn't in there for sure. Kiss is definitely a big part of the book.
Now turn to the last 15 pages.
It's got Ace. It's got
There's one that has no Kiss in it. There's one that has no Kiss in it.
There's the whole last couple of chapters of that book, right, are about things that she did after she divorced Peter, right?
Yeah, but
and Richie Fontana and all of that stuff.
Yeah, but then she goes back. She saw Kiss in Hot in the Shade tour. She saw Kiss in the reunion tour.
I know.
You know, she saw Eric Carr's first and last show and nothing in between. You know, I think that this has to be an essential Kiss book. It's gonna
be a tough decision for me, Joe, because I absolutely see your point, but I absolutely have always said that is a top 5 essential Kiss book.
And I don't disagree. So why don't we just put that one aside for a second?
Okay,
so we've got History and we've got Nothing to Lose. What else can the three of us agree on?
The Lynn Goldsmith book.
I'm a huge Lynn Goldsmith book fan, so I think for me it should be on the list. Jason, are you gonna?
I'm gonna go with that as well. Yes.
Okay. So
it was in my groupings of books. Yeah, it was in my grouping of books. So.
Okay. So we've got 3. So now we've got 2 to discuss. Is there anything else that we think kind of crosses over that all 3 of us can go, that one belongs in there? What about the Barry Levine or the Wearing Abbott? Do we think either of those belong essential?
No, only because I think no, just because the Barry Levine book, it's a great book. Don't get me wrong. His work is on everything, but I don't think it's an essential Kiss book. I think if you didn't have that book, it's okay. I mean, having it is great, but I don't think it's essential.
And I will go out on a limb and say if the Lynn Goldsmith book was put together just like the Waring Abbott book and the Barry Levine book, that I don't know if I would necessarily include it in a top 5, because what puts it over the top for me is the quality of how the book is produced and the type of cover it has and all of that stuff. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm just putting photo books, as just absolutely essential.
Yeah. Okay.
But from a coin collector's standpoint, I think something has to be represented in the top 5. And I was going to say either this or the real story.
No, I think that one needs to be in there. I have it too. It's upstairs.
Okay.
But that one's got to be in there. So we got 4 right now. We got 4.
Well, wait a minute. What do we do with this one?
That's good.
I think that one is. I think that one crosses over. That one is not an essential book. That one is an essential collectible that crosses over because
you see it has pages, right?
I understand that it has pages. Yeah, but hear me out. Hear me out.
You
Hear me
see
out.
that it has a page.
Yeah, hear me out. Hear me out.
Page
Hear me
numbers.
out. I think
Go.
everything in that book is completely unfactual, and I think I think the content is very fluff. I think if that had come out in any other time, it would have been ignored.
Well, this is fluff.
Yeah, but
All fluff.
I
Andrew,
don't.
Photo
if this
books
came
are
out
fluff.
tomorrow, you would buy it tomorrow. You would buy it tomorrow. If it came out tomorrow,
I'd
you
buy it
would be
today.
the first one. It would. So.
But I'm saying it's.
These to me are like the two quintessential. Yeah, headliners for sure is great too, Jason. But there's just something about this. I feel like, again, we went through this with the magazines. If you close your eyes and say quintessential Kiss books, I feel like this one or this one. I don't know. I'll leave it at that. But so we've got 3 or 4 that we sort of agree on, right?
All right.
So
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the top 10 essential books.
No.
That's right. So do we want to say this one? So
Yes.
the 3 of
Yes.
can all-
I'm okay with saying this one, yes. Because I think
Yes.
a coin era book that actually came out back then has to be represented in a top 5.
Yes.
Robert Duncan's.
We'll go with Robert
Yes.
Duncan.
Yes.
Okay. So now it's
One on
just
the charts and the hearts of millions. So there you go.
so now it's just deciding on the 5th.
Which I
Which-
think it could be
let's
neck
look
and
at,
neck.
right?
We could do the Vault versus Sealed with a Kiss.
Well,
what
if
I
we're
think.
doing that, I'm picking Sealed with a Kiss.
Yeah, I think there's no
Easy.
doubt. So I think we've reached our top 5.
Yeah.
I think we're there.
Our top 5 essential Kiss books. Kisstory, put out by Kiss in 1993 and
Let's
1994.
do it in order. We got to
Okay.
decide in order.
Okay. All right.
Number 5.
Number 5, Sealed with a Kiss by Lydia Chris.
Okay, I'll be on board with that. Out of the books.
Number 4, Kiss by Lynn Goldsmith.
I would say this would be.
All right. So number 4,
would say this.
Kiss by Robert Duncan.
Robert Duncan.
Number 3, Kiss by Lynn Goldsmith. Kiss 77 to 1980 by Lynn Goldsmith.
What's the other one?
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Andrew on this one. I think Goldsmith 3
Goldsmith 3
because
Kiss-
it's just a photo book.
Yeah. Nothing to lose. Number 2. Number 1 is Kisstory.
Number 1 is Kisstory.
That's my vote, Joe.
Yep.
All
All right, so go through
I
them
can
again
tell
real
you're
quick.
not on board. I can tell.
No, it's all right. Go through them. I'm cool with it.
All
5.
right. Number 5, Sealed with a Kiss.
Yep.
Number 4, Kiss by Robert Duncan. Number 3, Kiss 1977 to 1980 by Lynn Goldsmith.
Yep.
Number 2, Nothing to Lose by Ken Sharp, Gene Simmons, and Paul Stanley.
Yep.
And number 1, Kisstory.
History.
Honorable mention. Everything Alan Belisha ever put out.
Yes, and everything
Julian Gill ever put out.
Yeah. And what Nicholas Buckland is about.
is
to
about
do.
to put out.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's it. That's our top 5 essential Kiss books. What are your essential Kiss books? What did we miss? What do you love? What do you hate? And which books are you looking for to add to
What
your
did we
collection?
get wrong?
Yeah, what did
Yeah,
we
what
get
did
wrong?
we miss? I think with the magazine comments, it was great. There was stuff that, admittedly, I think we either skipped over or maybe didn't have in our collections to show or didn't think about. I think it was great. That comment group was fantastic. And
Yes.
it garnered a lot of conversation. So thank you for that. And hopefully this does the same. And hopefully we missed a bunch.
Yeah.
Let me talk about one real quick.
Yeah.
This. Do you guys know this D.D. Zill book?
Yes.
From,
Yes. Very tough to get. Very tough to get.
Talking about an expensive book to buy.
Yeah. Yes. So I've got one.
we get a-
One that I've bought, and it's on its way. We can show it in a later episode.
Right.
That to me. So I've only seen it in pictures. I've never seen it in person. I've never held one. I don't know why that book is so expensive. I don't know when it came out exactly, but it's kind of one of these mythic Kiss books. It seems like it's mostly pictures, but man, it's a big book. I think it's got 500 pages or 400 pages of photos. So that would to me it's got to be an honorable mention, and I don't even know how many people have a copy. So if you guys have one, let's comment below and talk about it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree
absolutely.
totally. All right. Good episode, gentlemen.
Guys. Good job.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, hey, I want to mention before we go, click tshop.com with a K. You can get your own swag with a slightly larger logo. But we have Kiss My Collectibles t-shirts and we have Kiss My Wax t-shirts. And Click T-Shop has tons of other incredible designs.
Yep.
So go over there and support Ed and support us, because this helps keep the podcast on the air. Yes, I know YouTube's free, but websites and iTunes is not. So
yes.
And come see us in Indy. We'll have.
It was great seeing you guys in Indy.
It was great seeing you guys in Indy. Yeah,
that's right. It was either great seeing you guys in Indy and you got an amazing steal on some T-shirts, or come to see us in Indy.
Have an amazing steal on T-shirts. So.
That's right.
But is that it, guys?
That's
Are we good?
That's it.
All right. We will see you on the next one.